Welcome. It's good to see you here tonight. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here. First thing I want to say is, on my flight up today, it dawned on me that we are ending our third year of Thursday nights, Martinis and Lights. And I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all of you guys for your support of not only the event, but also of Acuity Brands. I'd also like to take a moment to say thank you to Jessica Lloyd. In the past 3 years, I haven't. I think if you just step back a little bit, I also want to take a moment to say thank you to Jessica Lloyd. Her dedication to perfection has made this event a huge success. So if we could just take a moment to say thank you to Jessica. Also, as we head into the holiday season, I just want to say I wish you all the best. I hope you enjoy the holidays. We hope to see you here next year at Martinis and Lights. And finally, let's kick this party off the right way with a toast. So let's raise a toast to Thursday nights because it's time for Martinis and Lights.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for that applause. It was very thoughtful. But the real thanks goes to all of you guys for coming out Thursday after Thursday and joining us and coming to learn with us and have a nice time with us. We just want to thank you all, Acuity Brands, from the bottom of our hearts. We really appreciate it. I have the honor tonight of introducing Mr. Ron Schimmelpfenning. He's not only a colleague, he's a friend, so I'm very excited to see him speak tonight. Let me tell you a little bit about him first. With over 30 years in the industry, Ron has definitely made his mark in the custom lighting arena. He started at an early age working for Appleton Lamplighter, and then moving to Winona, all while partnering with the specifying community, creating, solving, and building strong relationships along the way. Ron is currently VP of R&D and Innovation for Acuity Brands, using his creativity on a daily basis to bring new products to life. Would you all please join me in welcoming Ron Schimmelpfenning.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight. I'm a little concerned that we didn't fill in these front seats, so the people in the back should kind of move up with it, because there's special things that are happening at the end of the presentation that you're going to want to be close to before. So, anyway, get on up here. With that, as Jessica said, I've been in the industry over 30 years, that type of thing, spending my life with all these custom lighting. Custom lighting being that, what is it, the vision that you have, how do we bring that vision to life? Pick up the phone, pick up the phone, then it rolled into send a fax, then it rolled into the emails, and etc., that type of thing, to say, how can we do this? And I always wanted to be your design partner to do just that. Did it with Appleton Lamplighter, moved over, that turned into Advent Lighting, and then also rolled into Winona, and then on to Acuity, that type of thing. What I have for you tonight is just to talk through and have fun with some of the projects that have been over the years, talk to you about the good things, the bad things, how to design certain things, talk about some processes, that type of stuff, some manufacturing processes. So when you're on the phone with a colleague, that type of thing, hopefully from one of the Acuity brands, and hopefully Winona Lighting, basically to walk through some of those ideas so you understand what some of the terms are and understand what they mean and what they can do for when it helps you write that overall specification, that type of thing. First slide you see up to tonight, which I thought was extremely appropriate, was a project we did for Absolute Vodka. 100 bottles. The biggest problem in the bitch was that by the people in the plant was they didn't send them full. That was the issue. So they sent us all the bottles, and they were all clear. So what we had to do on them is come up with a method to frost the inside of it, and then we developed an LED system to go in and illuminate that. And that's right here in Manhattan with it. An awful lot of fun. If taking those types of things, as that concept came up, that was with Mike Castelli we worked with on that particular one. He went in to the client, they said, we want to do something with the bottles, what can you do? The phone call comes in, hey, can you do something like this? Well, hell yeah, we can, let's have fun making it. So we did. Next one. roll into. This is, I gotta back up 1 second. Talking about a statement and solutions. And why I say that is custom lighting absolutely can make a statement. Okay, and that's what people usually think of it as, is how do I make a statement because I have this grand entry, or I have this particular boardroom that I have to do, or etc., that type of thing. And you're going to see a lot of that. But it's also that, you know what, there's nothing else out on the market, and I need a solution for this particular application. And you know what, I want to push the boundaries a little bit. This is what I want the light to do. How do I do that? I need a partner, okay, to make that happen. So we'll talk through those types of things as well. With that, first one up, Pfizer Global. Issue on it, it's a 10-foot diameter, non-concentric. I say non-concentric because when you look around the overall column, you'll see that it's offset. They had a very, very low ceiling that they were dealing with, but they wanted this overall area to have something special. So what he ended up doing is creating, it's a 10-foot diameter with concentric rings, and you have the out spokes on it as well that we dropped in a T5 lamp at that particular time, and then had that only basically float about 6 inches off from the ceiling. Having it float only 6 inches off from the ceiling allowed for, what do you got? This beautiful reflector. They put an acrylic lens in the top of it, makes maintenance extremely easy with it, because you can just do a shift and lift to get that overall lamp. Having it also 6 inches close to the ceiling, you don't see any of the fasteners, and it does appear to be then floating. Another one we did for Pfizer with this is their boardroom. This one came when Pfizer announced their little blue pill, which was extremely successful for them, and they wanted to spend some extra money, and I was happy to say, yes, I would love to sell you something with that. But a 35-foot long fixture, all stainless steel, glass on stainless steel outriggers with it. But what they really wanted to do here is to integrate in both the audio system, the sprinkler system, the downlight system, and then the overall ambient lighting. In that, brought that into the controls, that the table that they put, which they spent a bundle of money on for when their board members come in, each board member has in front of them that they push a button when they're going to talk, because they do video conferencing that they send around the world. All the cameras focus on that particular person. The lights around everything else dims, and just the lights stay on that particular side. So we have a tremendous amount of controls that we integrated in with it. How do you do that? You just coordinate with the other vendors that are on the job. You coordinate with the audio people who do the sound. You coordinate with everybody else and what do you need? And that comes all the way down to how do we basically shield the cabling, that type of thing, so we don't have RF interference and all those different types of items. It just takes some experience, and when you're putting together a specification and putting names down onto that, look to those people that have that type of engineering experience with that and get to know them very well. Another one, police headquarters in Chicago, 16-foot diameter. That center ring is 8-foot diameter, half-inch thick stainless steel that is 18 inches tall. Huge, huge piece. The biggest issue on that is how are we going to put a finish onto it? And so you're going to weld this piece all together, and then how do you put a finish onto it? It's taking the machinery that you currently have, and you have to be just as creative with that when you're manufacturing your overall pieces as the piece itself. How do I take what I have and make this work for that? You do this by making up some other jigs, that type of thing, to put in front of the wheel to give that overall seamless finish on it. The glass itself then has basically indirect. We used an asymmetrical throw reflector to throw up into the dome with it, and then just some fluorescence that did the overall illumination. Oh, I want to say one more thing about that. See this, the suspension? It's not just going straight up. A really, really big deal. Why I say that is because when you start pulling sideways from it, the structure that you have to develop for this side of it to be able to hold up a fixture that weighs a little over a ton, okay? You have to work with the other trades to make sure you can pull that off. And you need a manufacturer that has that insight and capability to work with those other trades to make that type of stuff happen. That star pattern that's created there, you'll also see that duplicated in the terrazzo floor on the bottom. Rolling into some LED pieces. Ford Center for the Courtside Restaurant. Here they have this. This is actually just one side of the bar. It's duplicated on the opposite side as well. 38 foot long, made into an arc. Basically, this side, it's not This side is only about 6 foot, where this side is about 8 foot, so it tapers as you come across. Developed a hand-painted acrylic system for them, and then an LED system inside, which if we would have done it with fluorescence, at that point, you would have had a tremendous amount of striping that would have gone across it. This is one of the first pieces that LED really allowed us, okay, some flexibility to go after. We'd have probably had to have a greater depth, that type of thing, and we'd have had to have a whole lot more maintenance. This really, really worked well for them to build that in, and they were a very early adopter in that LED technology. Moving down to some smaller pieces for Noka. 5 foot diameter, custom glass piece with LED running around the outside of it, and then also a recessed piece that we came off of, I think this was using the windscape line to create our overall, not pedals, they're actual rods that come out of the ceiling in their collaboration areas. Going from 5 foot diameter here, go on up to 48 foot diameter. This is an investment building, 48 foot with a 22 foot. You see this center area right here? This is on this whole piece is on the 6th floor. Worked with Caesar Pelli on this because they had to have a structure that went across on the 6th floor because it was a maintenance floor with it. However, they had one large tenant that took up the first 6 floors that said, hey, I want to have a skylight looking area. What can you do? They cut a porthole in the center of it. We created a truss type system, which I'm going to jump ahead on, that allowed us to then lower 6 stories, an overall truss system that all the lighting hung on. What does that require? It sounds easy. Well, it requires a custom winch. And beyond that, it requires also a custom wire reel to allow that to come all the way down, okay, powered so maintenance can go after it and make those overall changes, suck the whole thing back up. One other thing about the other side, and just a fun fact, is this center hole. They had, that tenant on the bottom had this large sculpture of an owl. So it had to have a center hole that was just big enough as you brought all the way down to the bottom that it didn't crush the owl on the top, where there would have been hell to pay, so that maintenance could still get to the overall piece. With that, we do, as a custom manufacturer, you mock up an awful lot of things. Why? Because you can see it on paper, okay, and now you can see it in renderings and all the other things, but to get the true feel of what is this scale of it, how does the light react with the overall glass panels, that type of stuff, what are some of the design studies? Some of the design studies might be that you look at, should we use cylinder type knobs? Should we use round balls? Should we use half balls, that type of thing? All of those types of things you put in at that mock-up stage, and you make that as your overall design decisions. When you're putting together specifications, you have to write that type of stuff in there. Why? Because all the manufacturers need to be apples to apples, because there's a cost to do that. But from the design side, it's an absolute must. From a design side, it's the perfect time to bring your client out to show, hey, this is what we're going to be bringing to the job site. Get them excited about it, get their input, that type of thing. It allows you as the lighting consultant and the designer to work through exactly how that lighting is going to be. We all have a great idea, but you get to see the final things and make those tweaks. Why to do it at the manufacturer's facility versus say, hey, let's set this up on the job site, is because you can instantly make changes. You want to see different type of ball changes, that type of thing, you want to make a different reflector, you bring that into the manufacturer and it's like, you guys are going to go to lunch, we're going to throw a team of 12 people at this, make these changes, you're going to come back from lunch and you're going to see it. Now, maybe it's going to be done in cardboard, paper, whatever else it's going to be, you're going to see the overall effect. You walk out of there after a day, maybe 2 days, that type of thing, but usually it can be done in a day. You know what you're going to see on the job site. Second side of it is you can also bring the contractor in to say, hey, you want to see what you're going to install so that I don't get all kinds of phone calls or you don't mess something up? They get a sneak peek. They get to look behind the curtain. Here's what's going to arrive. We start talking to them as well about this is how it's going to come in. Do you have doors big enough to bring that through? Which in a lot of cases that can be a problem. How are you going to move it off the truck? So on and so forth. And it puts their mind at ease to here's what's coming in. Here's the type of crew I have to put together to install something like this and work through there. That leads me up to another one. This one right here is, on that particular one, we had to develop a complete system. I know this is a poor picture, but anyway, that actually got cast in the underside of the floor. All this structure right here around all the other re-rod is actually what's holding up all of the glass panels and that type of stuff. 3 pickup points out of that type of thing for where we had the pull points for where that large winch came through and dropped the overall piece down. All of that type of stuff has to be engineered. You brought the contractors in, laid this all out in the factory so that Saturday morning when they put that back up out there, it took them about 3 hours. Everything got laid in place perfectly. They knew it was because they already pre-saw that at the factory. Very, very important. Another thing to write into your overall specifications when you get into these types of pieces. Now, this is a pretty extravagant overall lighting fixture that goes with it, but when you want to go there that you're making an overall architectural statement with that lighting, the Acuity group, the Winona team, we've been doing that type of thing for years and we'd love to be your design partner. Moving on. Another large project. I'm sorry that we got a couple large fixtures here, but it's kind of the way things went for a little while. This particular one, Grand Rapids Convention Center, each of these sections are 14 foot long. Each of these slabs of acrylic are 14 foot by 6 foot by 1 inch thick. There's only 3 manufacturers in the world that can actually make acrylic that size, and that comes out of the aquarium industry. You know, where you go see Shamu and that type of stuff, those are the type of people that make that. The 1 inch thick actually was, excuse me, pretty easy for them to do. But that's where you had to go. This actually came out, all the acrylic had to come out of Brazil for that. When you look at each one of those particular pieces, just showing it, there was 28 of them in total. What that was made up of, excuse me, what that was made up of is basically taking and making an H channel type system, all out of 1/4 inch aluminum. Then we then had outriggers to hold the overall acrylic, 4 400-watt metal halide asymmetric fixtures going up on there, and then 2 70-watt metal halides on the bottom, with an addition of some T8 lamps on each side, provided the overall lighting. So you lighted the entire space off of that single fixture. One other fun thing with that is that's the outside, excuse me, bring it back up. You see how this snakes? All of this is cable hung, providing the engineering, because whenever you take cables at various angles, that type of thing, they have a different stress point to them. There's a different stress put on every single one of those. Doing the engineering to make sure that we hang that whole portion through there. That takes a staff. Not everybody's capable of doing that or comfortable in doing that, but when you start working on those types of jobs, look for those types of companies that they have the depth and the talent to do that type of work. On that same project, they liked what we did on the overall snake fixture, so they had us to do the same type of thing. We made a 15-foot diameter chandelier, all out of a boxed aluminum and glass type pieces. When you get into 15-foot all out of glass, you start running into that you have to run under the skylight coating, so all of the glass itself had to be tempered. However, they wanted to have some custom pattern glass that went with that. They just didn't want to have normal float gas frosted. So these are all custom glass panels and then chemically tempered to go through there. Chemically tempered because when you start going through a heat temper type process, you can have a greater amount of warpage in it and the panels don't stay as flat. We really needed them to stay flat in this, and so we went into the chemically tempered in this. That isn't, there's only one place in Chicago that can do that, and so we actually went out to Canada to have that particular part done. On that, once again, some mock-ups. Here we developed, the designer originally was thinking of having a fluorescent type system. And so we mocked up a fluorescent above it. But when you're looking at various glasses, fluorescent can be very flat looking. And we needed something that gave it more dynamics to it. And this is, yeah, the job's bid and everything else, we're making the mock-up, that type of thing, but you run into these issues and it's like, hey, we got an issue, we've got to do something. We're going to show you the fluorescent, but we're going to show you another method. So when you and your customer comes in, let's work through these types of things. And so instead of the fluorescent, what you ended up doing is using a 35-watt metal halide, a 70-watt metal halide, both on these little tenons, and that provided them then 3 different light levels. I can have 35 on, I can have 70 on, or I can have them both. So various functions within the room, it really, really worked out well. They're again partnering with that, being a design partner, and not just that, here's what I'm going to deliver for the spec, It's, if you see an issue, you want some of the eyes and ears of those people at the manufacturer to call you up and say, hey, here's not just the problem, here's the problem, but here's some of the solutions. What do you think? Here's what we like. That's what working with lighting people, or in true lighting people, really provide for you. Next time we're talking about, I said earlier that we would talk about a couple of things that in the manufacturing process, okay, just so you understand some terminology. I don't want to make you all experts here, but I don't want some of the terminology, if we would be talking with you, to say, what is that? It's say, here's what some of that type of stuff means. First off is hydrocutting. Hydrocutting is a jet of water. You can see, and it's just fun because I got a tomato on there, but it's a jet of water coming out of an orifice, and at the Winona campus, we've got two of these particular pieces of equipment. That jet of water is coming out of there at 55,000 to 60,000 PSI. Anything you put underneath it, it's going to cut through. It doesn't matter. You got a piece of 4-inch aluminum sitting up over here, that jet of water is going through that. Why do we use this? Because there's other lasers, which we'll talk about a little bit, that type of thing, is it provides you tremendous flexibility in your design. Anything you can draw, turn into a DXF file, we can cut. Doesn't need special tooling or anything else. You send the file out, you're going to cut it. So where do you start going with that? We can cut through acrylic. Here's 1-inch thick acrylic running all the way around. 1/4-inch pieces of aluminum running all into that piece. Basically a little outlight side of it, and make 4 little sides of it that come into a nice little column wrap. The fineness of that, all in stainless steel. Here's 1/8-inch stainless steel, incredibly crisp cutting on it. You can't machine it that crisp because you'd have more rounds in the corner. You do a beautiful job with it. Particular project here that for shops at Willow Bend, what they did is being the willow, was the willow tree and the willow pattern was their overall pattern that they wanted to carry through the carpet, they wanted to carry through the railing, they wanted to carry through it everywhere on it. On this lighting fixture did the same thing. These are 10-foot by 10-foot panels, or fixtures, excuse me, all done out of aluminum, then with a 3-step bronze process over the top of it. Bronze meaning it's a painted process. You lay down a black, you lay down a bronze, you lay down another highlight process over the top of it, and then highlight that by hand brushing it, and you can get a bronze look, but for number one, a fraction of the cost, more importantly, a fraction of the overall weight. You got to hold these fixtures up as well. With that, all of the willow pattern, made 3 different size willow patterns with that, all hydrocut, allowed us to do that and have incredible consistency. I said that was 10'6". Also another one here that's 10'6", but in diameter. Very, very close to the ceiling, single panel, removes that type of thing. One way, basically bearing sitting up on top. I can rotate a lighting pattern around about 355 degrees, so maintenance can go up, pop their head through the hole, reach up, swing your piece around, get to every single lamp, swing the overall thing back. And one of the most important things is they can go up, because you do get dust, debris, so on up into there. They can go up with a vacuum wand and vacuum that type of thing and clean that off. Something really to consider with all fixtures. How is maintenance going to relamp it? Obviously, that was a simple one. How are they going to clean it? That's something that's not always looked at. Team that we've got will always look at those types of things of how are we going to make that look good. A year from now, I want that fixture to look just as good as the first day that it went in. On that first day it went in, I also wanted to be, if it got hung before all the drywall and everything else went in, I want to be able to go in and clean that particular piece off. A couple other projects there. There's just a close-up of what that willow pattern looks like, and all hand-painted once again. You're going to hear me talk about hand-painting on a couple different things. We've got a number of artists at the Winona campus, that type of thing, that will do all of your different hand painting. That means they'll do veining and to give you an overall alabaster look. They'll give you modeled look. They'll do gold leafing for you, various types of things with that. We've had that probably for the last 15 years that we've had that process on site. We used to go out for it, and now we have our own. Oops, sorry. In that same family, 25-foot square. This is about an 8-foot diameter, all willow pattern. Cut it apart, weld it back together, willow pattern in there, 4-inch by 4-inch extrusion going all the way. These little outriders are 3-foot by 3-foot square.